Hello, my dear students. Today we will explain a new chapter called Active and Passive Voice, chapter number 14, page number 79. So, before we discuss further, I would like to explain to you the definition of a sentence. So, what is a sentence? A sentence is a combination of words that gives a complete meaning, thought, or idea. In every sentence, there is a subject, verb, and an object. For example, Diamo baked a cake. So here, Diamo is the subject, baked is the verb, cake is an object. So in every sentence, there is a subject, verb, and an object. Okay. Now let's look at the definition of active and passive voice. So active voice means that a sentence has a subject that acts upon its verb. Passive voice means that a subject is a recipient of a verb's action. So let's explain with an example. The dog beat the boy. So here the dog is the subject, beat is the verb, the boy is the object. Okay, so this sentence is a active voice. Why? Because the subject, the dog, is doing the action. Okay, the dog is biting the boy, isn't it? That means the dog is doing the action. The dog is the subject, so here the subject is doing the action, so it is an active voice. Whereas in the next example, the boy is the subject, was bitten is the verb, the dog is the object. Okay, so this sentence is a passive voice. Why? Because the subject, the boy, is receiving the action done by the dog. Okay, here it is receiving, the boy is the subject, is receiving the action done by the dog, so it is a passive voice. Okay, the difference between active voice and passive voice is, in an active voice the subject is doing the action. Okay, whereas in passive voice the subject is receiving the action. Got it? So I will explain to you some rules you have to remember is that uh, never change the tense. All right, never change the tense of a sentence. For example, if the active voice is in present tense, the passive voice will also be in present tense. If the active voice is in past tense, passive voice will also be in past tense. If the active voice is present tense, the passive voice will also be in present tense. But okay, just like the example we see here, the dog beat the boy, it's a past tense, simple past. So the passive voice, the boy was bitten by the dog, is also a past tense. Correct? But what we have to change is the verb. Okay, some verbs we have to change. According to the sentence, we will change the verb, but I will explain to you in detail. There are three forms of verbs. Okay, verb 1, also known as infinitive, verb 2, also known as simple past, and verb 3, also known as past participle. So some examples are eat, ate, and eaten. Okay, eat is verb 1, ate is verb 2, eaten is verb 3. So bite, beat, bitten, scold, scolded, scolded. Sometimes the verb 2 and verb 3 remains unchanged. So let's look at the previous example. Here the dog beat the boy. Okay, in this active voice the verb beat is verb 2. So when we change it into passive voice, it becomes bitten, verb 3. Okay, passive voice will always be in verb 3 in every sentence. Got it? But sometimes the active voice is already in, sometimes the active voice is already using verb 3. So in such case the passive voice also remains unchanged. It will use verb 3. Some examples I will show you. Here Imlimo scolded his sister's active voice. In passive voice it is his sisters were scolded by Imlimo. So in the active voice the verb is already in verb 3. So in the passive voice it remains unchanged. Okay, here, here it remains unchanged. So the first example, Imlimo scolded his sister. This is an active voice. Why? Because the subject Imlimo is doing the action. Okay, whereas here second sentence is a passive voice because the subject is receiving the action done by Imlimo. Okay, now we have used the helping verbs were here. Why? Because in the active voice the sister is in plural form, which means Imlimo has more than one sister, so we are using were. Now here we use was because here Imlimo has one sister. Okay, sister is in singular form, that's why we use was. Got it? So all we have to remember is we should never change the tense. Okay, what we have to change is the verb. Okay, verb. So if the active voice is in verb 3, it remains unchanged. But if the active voice is using verb either verb 1 or verb 2, it will passive voice will change to verb 3. Understood? So that is the end of the explanation. I will see you in the next chapter. Thank you.